So for those that don't know, HBO released a new horror series based off of the 2013 game of the year entitled The Last of Us. I was quite excited when I heard they were going to do this show, as I was a big fan of the game. And a friend of mine is doing a podcast that coincides with the show, which I thought was really dope. And they even asked me to make the theme song for the show, which I thought was even more dope. So I wanted to walk you through my process of how I made the theme song for the podcast entitled The Last of Yinz, where you can find wherever you get podcasts. I'll leave a link down below. They do a great job of giving a play-by-play, scene-by-scene action without any spoilers of what's going on in the show. So check them out. Now, before we get started, I want to say my name is Wade D of Dreamslide Productions. This is a music-based channel that goes over composition, editing, mixing, different production techniques. So if any of that is interesting to you, please consider hitting the subscribe button and check the notification bell so you're notified when we release more content. And if you like this particular video, please consider hitting the like button so YouTube recognizes us in the algorithm and we can reach more people like yourself that would enjoy this content. All right, today we're in Studio One, and since it's a horror-based show, we're going to start by using Mysteria. All right, Mysteria, for those that don't know, is Native Instruments' cinematic vocal instrument. Really great at scary movie, sound effects, tension builds, etc. I really don't get to use Mysteria often because I don't really compose in the vibe of what it's made for. So now that I get a chance to use it, it was the first thing I thought of because I've been wanting to use it. So let's open it up. So I'll be honest with you guys, I don't use Mysteria all that often. This is like the third or fifth time I ever opened it. So we're all going to learn together here on what some of the stuff that you can do with this. All right, I'm going to just pull up a random preset and I'm going to play a chord. And one of the cool things with Mysteria is you get this XY pad. So let's mess with that. I like how this is Abyss Angel, so I guess this is the angel side. This is the Abyss side. That's pretty dope and self-explanatory. That is dope. That's dope. It's not really inspiring ideas, so we're going to mess with a couple presets here. Let's just pick another one. We'll say a cluster. Major moves. Let's try this. Interesting. All right, I'm going to mess with this a little bit and let's see what I can come up with. All right, so I came up with this little 16-bar bass pad thing off of preset airy chords. I didn't really change much. Turn this up. All right, that's enough to get us started, so let's see what else we can do. One thing I was trying to find, and if you guys know, please let me know, is how I can change the release time. So if we zoom in on this gap here, so I went in here and was trying to mess with turning on the release samples and cranking that up, and it wasn't really doing anything, and I don't fully know what that does. I thought it would change the release time, but I guess that's not what that's for. So what we're going to do is we are just going to add a reverb and do this a simple way. All right. So I'm feeling vintage verb. We'll do that. Let me pull up my mixer, which it already did. And we will send this here to vintage verb. All right. So I've been messing with Studio One for about a year, really. As I switched over from Pro Tools, I'm loving this macro system. If you guys are interested in hearing a tutorial on how I made my own macros in Studio One, which is a really big point of why I switched, let me know in the comments below and I'll make that video for you. All right, so we added vintage verb. I just have a high and low cut here, and let's see what it is, just stock. I would love to do more to get that gap, but maybe we can fill it with something else. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that right now. So now that we got this pad bass, I want something of a run line to help move it along. Think of like Stranger Things, but I don't want to rip that exactly, but I want something along that vein that'll help this be memorable when you hear it outside of this moment, is at least what I'm going for. All right, so for those that don't know, Contact recently had an update to Contact 7, which gives you like this browser-like situation. What is really cool about this is now you don't have to go through all your libraries individually to find sounds you want. You know, like I said, I knew I wanted a synth lead, maybe classic mono, and by narrowing that down, I actually found something in Lo-Fi Glow that really worked for me, which I wasn't thinking of Lo-Fi Glow because this is like a horror track and Lo-Fi is, well, Lo-Fi, but leave it to me to categorize something that's actually pretty dope. All right, so let's see what we can do here with this preset. All right, so that's something in the vibe of what I was thinking about. I want to try to mess with this a little bit so I don't get stuck in a 16-bar loop. And by adding this run line, I can hear some type of chord changes. So let me mess around with that and let's see what we come up with.
Few moments later.
All right, so I messed around with that a bit and thought of a cool chord change, and I made the run line follow suit. So we have something like this if we take that last pad. And then it repeats and we can see what happens from there. So we have this bass, we have this run line to move it along. I added a couple more chords to get us out of that 16-bar loop. And now we need something else to kind of beef it up. I am thinking some type of distorted drums. Now, when I think of distorted drums, I instantly reach for your boy Butch Vig's drums. It is also a Contact instrument. For those that don't know, Butch Vig was the drummer behind the band Garbage in the 90s, also the producer behind Nirvana's Nevermind. His distorted room mic techniques, as well as some of his other production techniques, are world-class, if not out of this world altogether. So let's pull that up and let's see what we can do. All right, so another cool thing about Contact 7 I forgot to say is you can hear the presets. They do like a preset browser like they do for Complete Control or Machine. When I want to go through presets, I don't know which one I really want to use. I just play the track in the background. Turn this up a little bit. Towards that. All right, we're going to go with Down Baby and let's just see what we can create here. There's a couple cool ways to use this. I won't go into a whole tutorial on it. If that is something you are interested in, once again, let me know in the comments below. More than happy to provide that for you. Let's mess with it and see what we come up with. All right, when I'm working with Machine, I like to hand drum, but when I am working in Studio One or something like that and I have a very specific sound in my head, I'm more inclined to use whatever step sequencers and using that to kind of build my drums based off of the idea I have in my head. So I'm going to mess with this. Be right back. One of the things I do like about Studio One step sequencer is you have this probability option. So if I play this, that means 29% of the time you're going to hear this second snare hit. That way you don't got to make other variations of the pattern, and sometimes you want a double kick or you want a double snare. You can just program the probability and it makes it kind of fresh every time you play it. And then if you want to make it permanent, you can build another pattern off of the probability options you set. All right, so we're starting to get a little vibe. I don't know which way I want to lean towards genre-wise, but this is getting my ideas flowing. Just something simple and basic. And it's cool, it sets its own little space. We have some ambiance. We have this run line to kind of move it forward. Let's see what else we need. All right, so next I was thinking a little bit of a lead line to kind of help propel this even more forward, maybe give the track a little motion. since I'm doing this for a podcast, I want to make sure I don't do anything that is too distracting in case they want to talk over the intro. Nobody listens to a podcast to listen to the first minute as a song, at least nobody that I know of. So I came across a preset in Cloud Supply called Horizon. And it's kind of haunting and it lingers for a little bit. And I feel like that fits the vibe that we're going after. So let's see what I can come up with using it. All right, so as simple as haunting, it gives it another layer of depth without being super distracting, which is exactly what I was looking for. Now, one of the perks of this particular project is the client is actually a friend of mine. So if possible, whenever I'm working on these types of things or projects that I think I have a strong grasp on what the client wants, but I want to make sure I send them these concepts. So I'm going to stop here, send the concept across. That way I don't start making ideas I'm 100% married to or things I'm really trying to push. I'm still very subjective to everything I've done already. So we're going to send this off to my friend Corey, see if he has any notes, if he likes it, he hates it, if we're on a good vibe or not, and let's see what he has to say back.
Much later.
All right, so I got an email back with a couple ways that this could go. So far, he's loving everything we're doing. One thing about my friend Corey, though, is he is a rock guy. He wants some distorted guitars, maybe some bass to kind of fill it out. So, since we're going with rock, get my humbuckers. We'll use the Schecter. I'm going to throw up Rabia Archetype. I've been wanting to mess with that anyways. And let's see what we can come up with. I'll probably just do some simple power chords, or I will start getting really carried away. Let's see what we can do. All right, so for bass, I'm just running Guitar Rig 6. Eventually, I'll get into Empire and other stuff Studio One has to offer, but it's a staple. I have a lot of flexibility in Guitar Rig 6. So let's just keep this simple with bass, and let's see what happens. All right, that pretty much wraps this up. I did do a little bit of mixing to help get this to its final form.
This isn't even my final form.
If this content is content that you appreciate, please consider hitting the like button down below. It helps the channel go a long way with the YouTube algorithm. I want to thank you for sticking around. I'm going to play this out as the end card rolls. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I try to respond to everybody. Once again, my name is Wade of Dream Slide Productions. You keep making music. Stay awesome. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.